Hey guys, and welcome to one of the most old school rivalries in the game. We have the Elvish War between the High Elves and the Dark Elves, led by the fabulous players Stormrunner and Killer. It's going to be a good old scrap, so let's hop into it. Now, High Elves in general are considered by most people in the community to be the weakest of all the Elvish factions. So between Wood Elves, Dark Elves and High Elves, most people tend to consider the High Elves to be pretty weak, and pretty weak in the general meta as a whole, but I'm sure Stormrunner will have a trick or two up his sleeve to prove all of you High Elf doubters wrong. And to get us started, he has Rangers mixed in with White Lines in the front line, which is quite a nice little combination, because the Rangers should be able to clear out the chaff very quickly. They are dual-wielding sword maniacs. And then we have the White Lines give them a bit more of a steady approach to the battle with their armor-piercing axes. And to be honest, if you're wearing a White Line on your shoulder and as a cloak, you're probably a bit of a badass. So I quite like the inclusion of White Lines. As a Lizardman player, I can tell you that they are pretty ferocious now and again. They're very good against kind of Saurus Warriors and other such troops, but should be able to dispatch Dread Spears and Bleak Swords without too much of a problem here today. In the back, we do have a double Dragon Princes as well, currently lurking in the shadows. They're the heavy cavalry for the High Elf forces. They once rode mighty dragons into battle, but now, unfortunately, do have to go into battle on their war horses, although the war horses have been decorated as dragons and do look pretty fierce as well. We do have two Terranok chariots in the back here as well, and these guys are actually pretty underrated in my humble opinion. They're rather light as far as chariots go. They're not so heavy as the mighty lion chariots, for example, boar chariots and all that kind of good stuff, but they're pretty swift moving. Their anti-infantry can run over a lot of troops in combat, but more importantly, they actually have a range attack, and I think this is one of the matchups they could be relatively decent in. They should be able to force Dark Riders wide rather nicely. Interesting to see how they fare up against Scourge Runners. I feel like Scourge Runners would succeed quite well up against these chariots, but they're light, they're fast moving, and can be quite hard to catch. Up in the sky, we do have a glorious Flamespire Phoenix coming in, and yeah, I like the Flamespire Phoenix quite a bit. Definitely the better of the two Phoenixes. There is the Arcane one as well, but the Flamespire one, it has a chance to rebirth and can drop fire poops down upon the enemy. Can't remember if we went over the Mage earlier or not, so we'll go through her just now once again. Harmonic Convergence, Wind Blast, and Curse of Midnight Wind shall be the poisons of choice. And leading the army, it was a rather interesting pick that I haven't seen in quite some time. It is the Princess of the Elvish Folk, leading the line, rolling dirty on her Great Eagle here. Basically going to work in the same way a Glade Lady does for the force of the Wood Elves, kiting and shooting with her bow from the sky. She has kind of the useful abilities of Volo of High Arrows, basically an Arrows of Kurnos style approach. She has Loose as well, increasing reload skill, but to be honest, that's only going to be paying dividends with herself here today. Opposing her is, though, going to be the mighty Dark Elf forces. We have double Dark Riders out on this right-hand flank. A small fighting force in the centre. We got triple Dread Spears, well, the two Dread Spears and some Bleak Swords, protecting 3 Dark Shards. Now, normally, as a rule of thumb, you probably want more combat infantry than you do range, just so you have a chance to protect them. And it looks like we do have just that, but they're currently lurking in the trees in the form of some elite Dark Elf forces. Blackguard of Nagarond and Hargnef Executioners lined up in their badass warrior poses. Speaking of badass warriors, we do have a War Hydra as well, not the chill one this time. It does have the ability to shift through trees, and imagine that, just popping through a tree at you. That'd be rather scary, so War Hydras, yeah, they can be pretty nasty, particularly when they can glide through trees like that. With a Canine Assassin on the ground, which is going to be pretty good up against some of these squishy high elf characters they indeed can bring. Dark Riders in the distance, and up in the sky we have, of course, Morathi, comfortably the best Dark Elf Legendary Lord, and Lord in general, by a considerable margin, though it looks like she's already taken some damage, and that's because the Princess is actually a relatively decent counter here, I think. Speed is 105, Princesses is 110, so in theory she should be able to escape Morathi, and just do this all day. Poke her down, shoot her at range. Morathi can be squishy, though Soul Sealer is a bit of a nightmare, and as you can see, of course, we do have Soul Sealer, as well as Pit of Shades, though. Which is kind of cool, because I'm a little bit tired of seeing Morathi just with Soul Sealer, because so many people do it now. I like to see her with a couple of spells as well. Big Fat Breath Attack goes down the line onto the Rangers, roasting a few of these very poor Elvish folk there, as they are now blood splatters on the ground and in the snow. It's quite cool to see a snow map in action as well. Not too many competitive ones. I think this one is rather nice. We might actually move it into some tournament play. Rangers and White Lions are going to be getting really aggressive here. You can see the Chariots are now counter-skirmishing up against the Dark Riders and actually doing a fabulous job here. Really starting to whittle them down quite early on, and it looks like the missile trade is underway. We'll have to see how this one plays out, as I'm rather interested in which way it goes, but it seems like the Chariots definitely have the edge at the moment. Marathi in the sky has just been sniped. I don't think the Dark Elf players realise what's going on. Now he does, and he's going to start moving her. Of course, Soul Sealers can heal her up. Dark Riders do manage to ambush the Rangers and force them down quite nicely, and we're going to see a Soul Sealer come down on the Princess there, trying to recuperate some of that lost HP. Rangers do slam into the Bleak Swords, as do the White Lions. Unfortunately, Rangers were focus fired down, and we have a 2-on-1 fight here, which in a way is good for the High Elves. Likewise, I'd like to have seen the Rangers whip up and around, and then start slamming into the Dark Shards, but there's a lot of cavalry nearby, so at the same time, maybe just punching to the front line is going to be the better option. Flameside Phoenix is currently dueling Marathi in the sky. She is anti-large and has a load of powerful debuffs at her disposal, but is going to have to flee. Flameside Phoenix did take considerable damage there. Dragon Princes did ramrod into the enemy battle lines. Unfortunately, they're now caught out by Harganeth Executioners, as well as the Blackguard of Nagrons in the trees. This is the worst situation for the Dragon Princes, though the majority of them did escape relatively unharmed. So nice play pulling those guys back out of danger and using the Flameside Phoenix to poop down on these elite troops and do some pretty decent damage. In the front line, White Lions are getting eviscerated due to the help of the Assassin as well as these Dark Shards. And it looks like the front line of the High Elves really struggling quite badly. The Mage of Heavens is going to start moving forward, though at the same time is going to start getting hit as well by that wand from the sky. You can see the bolt starting to form, and this thing tracks. It doesn't matter if you dodge. It look, bam, it just beams it along. Although, actually, just like I say, it doesn't matter if you dodge, you can. At the very last second, and Mage of Heavens did just that. Chariots on this flank have been very successful up against the Dark Riders. 1 unit down, 1 to go. But the Elvish front line's just been decimated right now. White Lions really are doing okay, 36 kills, but they're about to be surrounded and overwhelmed, and that's not going to be a fun time for them. These brave bodyguards of the Phoenix King, unfortunately, taking quite a few stabs now. Rangers are pushing forward, looking to drive back the Dark Shards. Dragon Princes do manage to catch them. They overextended with their attack order, and now they're going to be getting punished for doing such naughty stuff like that. But Harganeth Executioners are nearby, and Dark Shards, and it looks like we're going to get our first hit of shades here. Not the perfect connection on the Dragon Princes, but dragging quite a few models. Not bad whatsoever. In fact, this second unit as well is also being caught in here. Look at these poor little princes lose that HP. Rangers are nearby to support, but are going down as well. Balance power dead even, but things seem to be going pretty good so far for the Dark Elf forces, at least in the main fight. Over on this flank, though, the Dark Riders have been hunted down, and Marathi, there is no safe haven for her. There is nowhere she can run where the Princess can't catch her, but another Soul Sealer is going to go down and catch the Dragon Princess at the same time, along with the Rangers and White Lions. That is going to heal her up quite nicely, but if she gets sniped, the High Elves certainly could be back in this game. White Lions trying to cleave their way through Harganeth Executioners. That is going to be a tough cookie, though, and I don't think they're going to have enough to crumble it. Dragon Princes do charge in, though. They lance and charge, sending Harganeth Executioners spewing in all directions. The War Hydra is currently quite happy, though, even though the Dragon Princes are relatively elite. They're not anti-large unless you have the Regiment of Renown Virgin, the Fireborn, and it looks like the War Hydra is going to force them back once more as the remnants of White Lions try to chuck themselves desperately into the enemy battle line. Princess does manage to shatter Marathi here with the help of the Flamesfire Phoenix. This is a really cool pick from Stormrunner. Big applause for him right now for bringing the Princess. She's done some beautiful work so far. And now both the Chariots as well are still online, starting to focus down the Blackguard of Nagrons, which isn't the worst idea at all, because these guys do have 100 armor, but none of that block chance, which is quite good. The world's bravest Mage of Heavens does charge in here, going after the War Hydra before fleeing back once more. Dragon Prince is going to follow up to make sure she does manage to get out of danger, but they are struggling a little bit because of this War Hydra pressure. Looks like we will be getting a big Curse of the Midnight Wind coming down. That is going to help the Chariots do more damage because it's learned the armor of the Blackguard, but there's not too many infantry left for the High Elves to come in here and actually dish out the damage. As I say that, the War Hydra is being jumped now by the Flamesfire Phoenix. Not a bad idea, because if we have a little look at the War Hydra, it has that 20% fire weakness. Flamesfire Phoenix is doing work right now. The minus 24 melee attack means it's safe to pop in and dish out this damage. Dragon Prince is once again lancing in for the charge. This is a really good catch here by Storm, picking apart the Dark Elf build with really good deft accuracy. And the War Hydra may break. If it breaks, that's going to be really good news. If it manages to stabilize and regenerate, then the High Elves could be in problems, but it does indeed break. Chariots are bouncing around. Luckily for Storm, there's not too much of the High Elf force left, so he can really focus his micro on keeping these chariots moving, and they're doing just that. Pushing back the K-Knight Assassin, running over Dread Spears. Hydra is currently running for its life, and the High Elves seem to be taking the advantage here, but the Princess has been forced back. A couple of Dark Shards getting in a shot or two, and we still have 54 Black Guard of Nagrond here, and some Dark Shards, so the Dark Shards maybe just about going to get one volley off. Looks like they're firing at something in the distance, not going after the Dragon Princes who are going to run them down here. K-Knight Assassin does currently have the Black Lotus popped on him. He needs to escape and come back, because if he comes back, he can definitely kill the Princess from range with his little hand crossbow, and will do okay up against the Flamesire Phoenix if supported by the Black Guard, who just take a massive shot in the flank there from the special attack of the Princess. And now the Black Guard are down quite badly right now. Completely surrounded by chariots. Curse of Midnight Wind has gone down on them as well. These chariots have been a really inspired pick, as well as the Princess here. And the Dark Elves are in complete disarray right now. All of their units have run for their lives. The Assassin is not going to be able to escape because of the Mage of Heavens, who is on his tail right now. And the Princess is going to feast upon the souls of these Dread Spears and Dark Shards. There is one unit left, and that is the Harganeth Executioners. 31 of these elite badasses, but the chariots will have a joyous time up against them. It won't cause them any problems whatsoever. The Hydra is still running for its life, but the Flamesire Phoenix is pecking at its bum at every opportunity. I like the little fire trail it gives, although it is a little bit worrying when you realise it does poo fire and then it's kind of leaving this trail mark in the snow. But, you know, a Phoenix has got to do what a Phoenix wants to do. Hydra, though, will be escorted off the battlefield right now, and the chariots come slamming home into the Harganeth Executioners, who have pretty decent leadership across the board, but when you're being attacked this late into the game, you've lost your leader. The balance power's against you. I just can't see them holding, I imagine, to drag this one out. Down to 37 leaderships. Actually not terrible right now, considering what's happening to them, but they are being eviscerated and down to just 20 models. The chariots shall reign supreme. One does go down, though. Harganeth Executioners not going down without a fight, but unfortunately, when the chariots start to cycle charge like this, they're simply going to get run over. Back up on their feet once more, though. Cloaks bloody, and they're instantly, it seems like they are trying to flee right now. No, they're just reforming the line. Get ready, lads, for our last stand. I love the perfectly ordered line they got into to get ready for that. It looks like all round, though, the High Elves not taking any risks. Just going to pop over and shatter as many units as possible. And it shall be a Pyrrhic victory for the pointy ears themselves. The High Elf variety today. Well played to Stormrunner as well as his opponent Killer. A really fun game and some inspired picks across the board by Storm. The Princess and the Chariots did such good work. I'm very impressed with this lady up on her Great Eagle. And it is a nice counter all round to Marathi. Now, if there was double Manticore as well, it becomes a little bit trickier. Maybe two Phoenixes could counter that, but then it's quite a big investment as they are expensive. But she did absolutely amazing, as you can see here, by the damage dealt and damage value, which we will get into for her and all the units in just a second. But if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a big fat thumbs up underneath, subscribe for more Total War Warhammer content, and comment down below, what do you think of the High Elves, this matchup in general? What do you think was the MVP? I definitely think the Princess and the Chariots, at least in my opinion, were some of the best units on the battlefield today. And what do you think could be changed about the High Elves, or like new units brought in to make them more competitive? I do think the High Elf hate is exaggerated quite a bit. I still think they are relatively okay to bring in tournaments. You do tend to have to normally be a bit cheesy with them and bring a lot of single entities and healing, but Storm proven right here, you can bring them and bring a lot of fun stuff and still have a really good time and a very good battle. So all round, yeah, I think High Elves are currently on the weaker side of things at the moment, one of the worst factions in the game, but High Elves, Norska, those kind of factions people tend to think are weaker, we still see at the top level of tournament play. I still see people bring High Elves in tournaments and with good success as well. And that's kind of, honestly, a massive shout out to CA for keeping this game as balanced as it is. I know a lot of people complain about balance, but the amount of factions, the amount of variety in units, it's kind of a miracle they've got it to be as balanced as it is. So massive shout out to them as well. There are links down below in the description if you would like to submit replays to me, just like Storm did. There is my Discord. You can join that and do that there. Also keep up to date with live streams, tournaments and events that I host. Get involved in them. Chill out with a load of cool players. We've got over 600, I think getting towards 700 maybe, players in that Discord. So there's always a load of new players and a load of experienced players if you're looking to train and just have a good time. Anything else? get to before we get into damage down, damage value? I've got a Patreon down below as well, I suppose, if you would like to support via that. But anyway, on to the good stuff. The Princess in the Sky, the MVP, the bad to the bones lady. 45 kills doesn't seem crazy, but 3,229 damage value certainly does, rendering Marathi pretty useless. I mean, Marathi's always going to get some value because she will Soul Stealer spam, but apart from that, I mean, Pit Shades was really good from her as well, but the Princess really did hunt her down all game and do a really fantastic job at doing that. The Major Heavens, I do like Curse of Midnight Wind. I think it's a very good spell, and she placed it at the right moments. White lines across the board, as well as the Rangers, really suffered. They just got focus fired down by the Dark Shards and kind of went in. They didn't have too much support and just got overwhelmed, but still were a nice distraction. The Dragon Princess performed really well. 1,540 damage value on this unit, 83 kills, 8,500 damage dealt. The other unit, 122 kills, 1,357 damage value. The Heavy Cav performing pretty damn good, if I do say so myself. The Tyrannic Chariots did pretty good as well, 51 kills and 71 kills, 993 damage value and 1,138, countering the Dark Shards, getting rid of them and off the battlefield, then allowed the Dragon Princess to shine, so Storm picking apart his opponent's build with the experience that he certainly does have in this game. Just shy of 2,000 damage dealt here by the Flamesfire Phoenix, 35 kills, 6,950 damage dealt, helped just handle Marathi in the sky alongside the Princess, and also dealt with the Hydra, because that Hydra was going to be a nightmare at the end, but struck at it just after Marathi had been killed, so the leadership penalty would be affecting it as well. Really good play. Marathi still got 1,600 damage value, mainly from her Soul Stealers, as well as the Pit of Shade. She didn't get involved in combat too much, apart from when she was getting her arse beat by the Flamesfire Phoenix. 844 damage dealt by the K-Knight Assassin, and the Dread Spears across the line did their job just holding back the enemy, and the Elite Infantry was a mixed bag. 1,300 damage value from the Hargnef Executioners is very impressive. Blackguard of Nagron, though, only 700, not so much there. As for the Dark Shards, 1,136, 212 and 781 damage value, so it's a tale of two tapes, right? Some of the units doing good, some doing bad, but all round, I think the Dark Shards put up a pretty good fight. Unfortunately, though, the poor Dark Riders just suffered. They suffered hard here today. 441, 266 damage value. Yeah, pretty abysmal stuff by them, and it does prove that those Chariots do really have a home in the game at the moment. War Hydra, 1,117 damage value, 50 kills, and still plenty of health and damage left to give, but Hydras do tend to have pretty janky leadership and can be broken rather easily, and we saw that here today again. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed this one. Until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.